So I almost screwed up my S-Corp status. Like legit, letter in the mailbox, heart dropping to the floor, oh no, something's wrong, kind of almost. And the worst part, it wasn't even a hard thing. I just messed up one small step, and that tiny mistake could have cost me thousands in taxes and penalties. Now, before you panic, I'm gonna walk you through what happened, how I caught it early, and how you can avoid making even bigger mistakes. Because if you're running an S-Corp or thinking about starting a new one, this video could literally save your business. The thing is, if these mistakes go unchecked, it's not pretty. And that got me thinking, this isn't the first time I've seen things nearly go off the rails. What could have happened to me? Well, that exact nightmare scenario happened to my friend Ashley. Ashley's the yoga studio owner who's way more into wellness than paperwork. These days, she runs a handful of successful studios right here in town. Gorgeous spaces, she has a big following, totally thriving. But years ago, when she was just starting out with her wellness coaching business, Ashley learned about S-Corps the hard way. And I'm not trying to speak badly about her. Ashley is brilliant. Always creating, always helping people. But she's the kind of person who will post like a life-changing sunshine photo at 5 a.m. on Instagram, but then forget to file her taxes until the very last possible day. So back when she launched that wellness coaching business, she heard about S-Corp status from a podcast. They said it would save tons on taxes. So she filed the election, got the approval letter from the IRS and the state. And I even remember her telling me this is gonna be how I beat self-employment tax. But here's what a lot of new business owners don't realize. You're not an S-Corp just because the IRS says so. You have to act like one too. That means paying yourself a reasonable salary, running actual payroll, filing quarterly reports. And if you don't, the IRS can retroactively revoke your S-Corp status. Ashley didn't know any of this. For over a year, she didn't run payroll, didn't pay herself a W-2 wage, just took owner draws whenever she needed cash. Then one day, nightmare scenario, she got the letter in the mail. She told me she was on her yoga mat when she opened it, thought it was a state renewal notice or something. Instead, 3 pages of government language and a sinking feeling in her stomach. Basically, the IRS was saying, you were never really operating as an S-Corp. That income, that's all now subject to self-employment tax, plus penalties. Yeah, it cost her thousands and took nearly 2 years to clean up. Ashley's story is actually what made me so vigilant about my own S-Corp. But even with her cautionary tale, I still almost slipped up that first year. It was Q2, right around tax season, and things just got hectic for me. I was filming videos, working with clients, and at the time, still a full-time classroom teacher. It was a good kind of busy, but also the kind of busy where small little admin tasks can slip through the cracks. It wasn't until Jeff, my accountant, caught something. He texted me with that classic, we need to talk message, which when it comes from your accountant should always raise your blood pressure. Jeff was like, hey, did you run payroll for yourself in Q2? Me, I'm like, of course and then I paused and checked my records. Oh wait, no, I didn't. Now, I use Gusto to run payroll. Super simple, automated, usually. But that quarter, I had paused it because I was considering adjusting my reasonable compensation. Then we went on vacation and I just forgot to resume it. Luckily, we caught it quickly. Jeff, he helped me run a catch-up payroll through Gusto. We paid the taxes I should have withheld, and since it was a short delay, the penalty and interest were very minimal. We had the whole thing resolved in a couple of days. But it was a wake-up call for me, because if we hadn't caught it, this could have triggered the same kind of nightmare scenario that Ashley went through. And honestly, if Jeff hadn't caught it when he did, I probably wouldn't have realized it until towards the end of the year. And by then, I would have missed multiple quarters. And at that point, I would have had a much bigger mess to clean up. So let's break down why all this matters. If you're taxed as an S-Corp, the IRS expects 2 non-negotiable things. 1, you pay yourself a reasonable salary. 2, you run that salary through proper payroll. Taxes withheld, W-2 issued, the whole 9 yards. You see, the IRS is totally fine with you avoiding self-employment tax on distributions. That's the whole point of an S-Corp, but they still want their cut from your labor. No salary, no payroll. That's when they say all that money you took out of the business, that should have been payroll. We're reclassifying it now. You basically owe us 15.3% self-employment tax on everything. And if they decide, they can go back multiple years too. So those penalties, they compound fast, and that's exactly what happened to Ashley. By the time the IRS reached out, she had gone well over a year with no proper payroll setup. I remember Ashley said, I didn't even realize I was doing anything wrong. But that doesn't really matter. If your business has net income and you're not running payroll as an S-Corp, the IRS can assume you should have. And that alone is enough to trigger a review. Like I said, it took months of amended returns, back filings, penalty negotiations, even a payment plan before she was, finally in the clear. Again, she's a great person. She still calls it the Great Ashley Cleanup of 2018. So thinking about Ashley's mess and my near miss, let me give you what I call the S-Corp survival checklist. This will help keep you out of trouble. If you're an S-Corp or thinking about becoming one, follow these steps. First, run payroll at least quarterly. Monthly is more ideal. Use a service like Gusto that automates the process for you. Then, pay yourself a reasonable salary, not $0, not $5K if you're making $250K. Pro tip, if you're not sure what reasonable means, just ask your accountant this question. What would someone get paid to do my job full-time in this industry? That question can usually help the two of you get closer to the right number. Next, file all those quarterly forms, 941s, state withholdings, unemployment, all of it. Issue yourself a W-2 at the end of the year. This is how the IRS knows you're operating legitimately. Set calendar reminders for payroll and tax deadlines. I mean, I've got reminders that pop up on my calendar at the start of every quarter just to make sure everything's running as expected. And then it only takes me like 30 seconds to log in and check, and that could honestly save you hours upon hours later. So the good news, Ashley turned things around. She became meticulous with her yoga studio records. She runs payroll like clockwork now. She even has backup systems for when she travels for her trainings. And I did tell her, I'm gonna make this video. She laughed and she said, well, tell them I learned the hard way so they don't have to. And as for me, I've got Gusto on autopilot for my payroll now for years. I've set those recurring reminders in my calendar to check everything quarterly. And honestly, my little scare, it reminded me that even a guy like me, when you know the rules, it's systems that are gonna actually keep you out of trouble. So if you're running an S-Corp or just thinking about starting one, please do yourself a favor and get your payroll handled the right way from day one. I use Gusto because it was suggested to me and it makes everything pretty easy. It automates the taxes, it files the forms, it keeps you in compliance without me really even having to think about it. But I mean, more than that, it just gives me peace of mind. I don't want to lie awake wondering if I missed something or messed up a form. I just know it's handled, and that's worth the money. So don't wait for the IRS to send you a notice. Set things up right and sleep easier. I'll drop a link in the description of this video to Gusto for payroll. If you use it, you'll get a discount. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I read every single one. In the next video, I'm going to share a big mistake I almost made with my kids' college fund and how I turned it around before it cost me 5 figures. It's one of the most personal stories I've told, and I think it'll help a lot of people. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.